Hello, welcome back to Our Perspective. Today we have Carmen and Thomas on the episode still, and I'm back. We're still missing Mary Grace, but today is such a great episode. We don't want you to miss it. We're so glad you're here, but we're going to dive into some practical parenting tips and hearing their perspective of when I would use them or I would incorporate them in their parenting, and I love Thomas's and Carmen's perspective. So stay tuned. It's going to be a great episode. Hi, welcome back to Our Perspective podcast. We are all on it together. Minus Mary Grace.
No MG.
No MG. We're definitely missing her. It's just so hard to get you guys all in the same time zone or the same place. So we're definitely missing her. I can't wait for the one day that we are all on it together. I feel like it will be
chaos.
It's going to be a lot of fun, though.
I was going to say
almost as fun as the one of just me and Carmen.
Yeah. Yes. You guys last week, it was so good. Like, it was really good. I loved how you guys talked about just like going from like kids and fighting to just like the relationship that you guys have today and just how solid it is and how sweet you guys are and just how like just you take care of each other. I loved how you guys talk about how you had to be at each other's stuff, but you grew into like, I had to be to I get to be, you know, like mom made us go, but we had to go with happy hearts.
Yeah.
To the point where you were talking about going to the horseback riding and Thomas like, I had to burn dessert eggs, but I got to go and just be there with her because I knew that was something that meant a lot to her. So I just love talking about that. So I feel like these next couple episodes, I just want like practical stuff. Like we did practical things in our home. I love how you said, like, I don't even know sometimes if mom knew what she was doing, which I didn't. It was so the Holy Spirit.
For sure.
There was so much Holy Spirit moments of God. I feel like so many times he just like pushed me in this direction or say, do this. But some of the things as parents, like we get to do like fun, parenting classes or learn as much as you can, read as many books as you can. Like I remember just, when we were talking about the heart, the healthy heart and impacting a heart, that was when I read a book, like I wanted to educate myself so much in making sure that I was going to be a mom, that pointed you guys, like that created like really the whole purpose of this podcast is to create a space, a safe space for you guys to be able to talk to me and be honest with me so you guys can be bold followers of Jesus Christ, right? Like It started in the home. Like if you didn't get that safe space where you guys could be honest, then you couldn't do you couldn't go out into the world and do that either, right? Like I just feel like it starts with the home. And
For sure.
and I really wanted both followers of Jesus Christ. Like I really wanted you to go out, you guys go out when you guys graduated high school, go out into the world and want to go to church and be part of a church,
Yeah.
So there were practical things I did. So we're going to just have a couple episodes of like, and I've talked about this in the past, but these are some practical things that we haven't talked about. And one of them, like I was remembering, I took this parenting class. It was called Growing Kids God's Way. I wish it was still around. It's not. But you can look it up. There's some incredible principles. It was called Growing Kids God's Way. And I remember taking the class when I don't even think I had Mary Grace yet. Like it was you two. And then I remember the principles and that forever changed. Like these principles were instilled in our home. We did them all the time. And we're going to talk about just like the ones that really stuck. Like we did them to this day. You guys still do some of these principles. But one of them, which I really loved, it was the funnel effect. And it wasn't something we talked about. It wasn't something that I'm like, we're doing the funnel effect now.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was until about 10 minutes ago when you shared it with me.
But then when she described it, we're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what
I
we
do
did.
remember that.
Yeah. So it was something that we did, but it's not something I talked about. But the funnel effect is if you can think of a funnel, right? It's like really big on the top and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it gets really tiny, right? So that funnel effect is at the beginning when you guys were little, right? I was the one that created the structure in the home. Like there were some strong rules, there were strong boundaries, there was like strict, like authority, like I was the authority, like there was a lot of high structure, like this is what we do. Like I remember like when you guys were little and we were going over to people's homes, like we would role play. Like this is what I expect you guys to do.
Yeah.
Right. So we would like get in the car and I'm like, for Thomas, like I wanted him, as he grew up into a man, like I wanted him to look people in the eye. I wanted you to shake people's hands. So, hey, we're going to so-and-so's house. Like, when they open the door, Thomas, what are you going to do? I'm going to look them in the eye. Okay. Are you going to like run by them? No, mommy. Are you going to shake the dad's hand? Yes, mom. So hey, these are the things that we are going to do.
And like one of them was like, if this is the food that they serve you, this is the food that you eat. You don't say that you don't like it or you whatever. Like, this is what's on your plate. We don't complain about it.
We were not allowed to complain about what we were eating at other people's houses.
Definitely not. That was just one of them.
No.
We would
It didn't matter
if they serve you this is what you're eating or this is what's on your plate.
Yeah.
So those were like strict, high structure. Like it was very like that funnel at the top was really wide when you guys were small because I was creating high structure. But basically what it was training you guys to do was like kind of the moral fibers of who you were, right? It was your character. Like I wanted you guys to be respectful. I wanted you guys to look people in the eye. I didn't want you to sit at someone's table after they've worked hard on the meal and sacrificed time and money to like, cook this meal and for you guys to be ungrateful and be like, I don't like this and like turn your nose up. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Honestly, you guys were raised to like all types of food. You guys eat everything now. But I'm like, hey, we're going to do this. Remember I would say like when you get to someone's house, are we going to open up the fridge and grab something out of the fridge?
No.
Never.
And we would role play these situations. There was a lot of structure in our home when you guys were little, right? Because what did that teach you to do? Then the funnel started getting small as you grew up.
And structure is different than controlling. She wasn't controlling us or like, you have to do it this way. It was like, these are the boundaries that we're setting. These are the expectations of our home. It's not her controlling how we acted or how we what we were, because we were all very different people. And I think sometimes we can get really caught up in like controlling the house, and it's like if one of us wrote on the wall or drew on the wall, we drew on the wall. Like you never really got mad. It wasn't like, but like that's against our rule. Like it wasn't. It was different. I just want to. No, because that's something we like have learned in one of my classes.
No, and I totally love that because really, if you go back and look at stuff with Growing Kids God's Way, there's a lot of people that didn't love that. Like, there's a lot of parents that are like, that's too strict or that's whatever, or it's controlling. But like, I never saw it that way. I saw it as like, okay, let me teach you guys now, right now, right? Because when you get older, you're gonna have a boss, right? You're gonna have to. And you're going to have a boss and you're going to have to know, like, you're going to have to shake someone's hand. You're going to have to look them in the eye. You're going to have to respect, like, you can have, someone from a different culture. You're going to have to respect that. Right. And I wanted you guys to learn that. And then as you grow older, as you guys got older, that funnel effect started getting smaller and smaller, where you guys, then I gave you the responsibility. Now you had the choice. Like, we didn't role play when you were in high school, right? Like,
no.
We didn't like as your way on your freshman year, like, okay, when the teacher says open your books, I didn't do that. Like, you're going to be like, yes, ma'am. No, but you already knew how to do that because I taught you that when the funnel was wide. So then when you got to high school, and we talked about this in a couple episodes ago, how you really established these relationships with older people, with your teachers, they respected you. I mean, Carmen, we talked about some of his words. Carmen, you got just as many words the same because of how you had these relationships with authority figures, your principals, your teachers. Like, those were all things when the funnel was wide that we did talk about over and over again. Hey, these are when we go to restaurants, like, this is how we act. When we were talking about this funnel, like, oh, Ma, I remember, like, when we would go to the mall and we would go in a place, hey, everyone's hands behind your back.
That was Growing Kids God's Way.
Yeah,
like,
that was so big.
Everyone's hands behind your back. We're not going to touch anything. Because that's disrespectful. This is like we're going into a place of business. We're going into someone, has worked hard to put the clothes where they go or the stuff where they went or, all of these things. And we're not going to be the kids that go around and touch things or break things or move things. Like, our hands are going to be behind your back. And this is what we're going to do.
And I think that's like a key thing of like, we talked about it before so that we weren't set up for failure. So it wasn't like So that's, I think, also the difference between like the structure and then controlling of like, no, she set the structure beforehand, or the boundaries or whatever beforehand, so that we knew like this is the expectation if we did that. And it also, it wasn't just like, okay, what's the right thing, what's the wrong thing. It's like, and if you do this, if you do it, if you like break these boundaries or do whatever, like what are the consequences? And we would say out loud the consequences, so we knew if like we were deliberately disobeying.
Yeah, that's deliberately
and
disobeying.
yeah, that was part of bringing kids God's way. So that's the thing. I think the difference too between controlling is like in the moment, a kid is like freaking out and you're like, no, don't do that, you're doing it, like whatever.
Sure.
That's controlling. Or afterwards, like you did that, like we're not supposed to do that. But like,
or it
kids
could be confusing, like,
yes.
I didn't know, and
yes.
you're getting so mad at me, and
oh my God,
I didn't know. Because honestly, that shiny thing in that store looks really cool.
Yeah.
You know, like to a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old
who doesn't have the self-control or the awareness to do that.
So like that thing looks really cool, and I really want to touch it.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Like, so then you touch it, and then parents freak out, or like, oh my gosh, you're not allowed to touch that, or anything like that. Then it's so confusing. So teaching you guys with this wide funnel was like, okay, now is the teaching moment. Like when you train up a child, like show this child. So those were the moments for me that I was like, okay, this is what we do. We're going to go into the store, hands behind your back. You're not allowed to touch it. I mean, there was things like, hey, we're about to, everyone's going to, there was one of me. Remember I said all the time, there's one of me and 3 of you guys. So we would get out of the cart. Mary Grace still was little, like she was 2, and you guys were older. I'm like, when we get out of the car, are you going to run to the sidewalk? No, mommy. Are you going to wait for mommy to get Mary Grace out of the car seat? Yes, mommy.
Mama.
Because that was safety things. And you had to respond, yes, mommy.
Yeah.
Right? Because then I understood. I knew that you guys know what my expectations were.
Well,
Right.
and you would tell us, even if we were 3 or 4 or 5 years old, you'd be like, this is to keep you safe.
Yeah.
It is dangerous if you go and do that. So again, like what me and Thomas were talking about last episode, you always shared the why. So it wasn't just like you have to do it. Again, the difference between controlling and setting boundaries and structure. It was like you told us why. There was a reason. It wasn't you just trying to control everything we did.
Right.
Yeah, and I think too, I felt like the expectations were almost higher when we were either out in public or we were at someone else's house. Like,
Sure.
You set those boundaries and we role play those things when a lot of times we were going to be in places where we weren't with you. So it wasn't even like I was worried, like, I need to do what mom says. Like, it was never about that. It was always about, this is how we're going to honor and respect other people.
Yep.
And so the expectations were held higher. Like, I mean, there are plenty of times that I told you I didn't like your food. Or I didn't want to eat
Oh, of
for
course.
dinner.
Yes.
But I would have never said that to someone else because it was a thing out of respect. Like putting hands behind your back. I'm pretty sure I touched your stuff all the time.
Yes.
But it was just
You
like...
guys wrote on the wall. You wrote on each other.
Exactly. It was never a control thing, but it was always just like, we're just going to respect other people. We're going to respect other places. And then when it came to things like being around the car and stuff, it was about safety. So like you said, you explained the why, but so much of it was how we treat others and how we treat other things versus, just you wanting us to
it's the heart posture behind it of like, why as a parent, but this is for anything in life, am I doing this because I care or about this person or whatever, or is it me wanting to be in charge or pride or fear or controllingness? I don't know.
But like for me, that funnel effect was more of like, there's this moral character that I wanted you guys to have forever. Like what we were establishing at this, like that age, was something that I knew you were going to carry on for the rest of your lives. Like that was a moral, like this moral compass, this conviction, this like, okay, this is where God, this is ultimately what I was training was, this is how God calls us to live. Like this is like, so if we're going to honor the people at, when this funnel was really high and I was making the decisions and saying, this is how we are going to treat this family when we go to this family's house, or like, sometimes, remember we had sweet little family who hung out all the time. And her name was Tori. You guys were best friends.
Yeah.
But we talked about like how we were going to, how we were going to play with Tori. Remember, we don't play with Tori the way we play with, a Ryan. Like you can roughhouse with Ryan. You can do this stuff with Ryan. But when we go to Tori's house, like this is how we play with Tori. Like we're going to be careful with her. We're going to respect her because she's a little girl. So, hey, so when you want to, when you're playing this game, are you going to tackle her? And you'd be
No,
like,
Mom.
no, Mommy, I'm not going to tackle her. You're right. You're not going to tackle her because this is how we treat, right? So these were all these huge funnel effects that, was really big. And, you learning how to do this when you started making your own decisions, when you started being in high school and the funnel started getting, and then college, like right now, I mean, like, I don't even know.
What
We're not
funnel?
even in a funnel because you're an adult, but you know how to honor women. Like, you know how to honor girls. Like, you always honored your sisters so well and took care of them so well because of like this. I loved the funnel effect. And one of the, and those were the things that I did. And then as they got older, then I started like, okay, now you're going to make your own decisions. Now you're going to have the responsibility of, hey, what's the right thing? What's the wrong thing? Now, and putting you in situations where you can fail. Like, because you're kids, you're going to fail. Like you were in situations like at school, like, and I think I said this in a different episode, but I would have parent teacher conferences and not care about your grades. Like they would be like, school just started, like the school year just started. Why do you want a conference? I'm like, because I need to tell you, like, this is the expectation. Like, these are the morals and the character, like their character that I expect at home, that then I want this to overflow into the classroom. Right. So, like, what they're doing at home is how I expect them to act when I'm not around. Right. Because I don't want them doing it because, oh, I'm scared that mom's going to get mad at me. I wanted you guys to start. At first, it was like, oh, this is what mom expects. But then it transitions into, no, this is the character of God. This is who I am. And this is who I'm designed to be, and the character that I want to have. Right. And so as teachers, I'm like, help me. So if they do go out of character, if there's something that you just feel like, hey, this is what I'm expecting as a mom and I want them to do this in the classroom. If they're out of character, or something's happening, or they're not respecting you, or they're being mean to other students or bullying other people, I want to be the first to know, because I want to then start correcting that at home, right? So those were some of the things in the funnel effect. But when we were talking about it, right, I kept you, like, these are some of the things, like being the firstborn and like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I've never been a parent before. Like, I kept you kind of in that wide funnel longer than I did the girls.
You were figuring out when it was time to close that funnel.
Or when to tighten it.
Yeah.
And so like, kudos to you for just being so sweet and giving me grace and just being like a really like amazing personality. But you're right. Like, there was times where I should have given you more authority to make some of your own decisions and like maybe fail fast, those types of things. But I kept that funnel pretty wide, like still giving you so much structure and like me still having that authority, because I didn't want you to make mistakes or whatever that looked like, or I just didn't know.
Right.
And then, then tightening it when I was like, oh, I probably should have tightened this. But you also, push back on things. Like, I remember you wanting, like, once you started driving, like, you loved fishing and you would go out to the ocean,
Right.
And you would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And, there was just times where I'm like, I don't know, you just started driving, you were still 16 years old and you're going out by yourself, and I would be like, I don't know if that's safe. Again, like really trying to like, it was fear, I know. And as parents, we do this all the time. And there's not a right or wrong answer. But I always love how you're like, no, you kind of push back in a gentle way, in a respectful way. And then that's what helped me like gauge, like, okay, I need to give him some of this authority. I need to give him some, like, a little bit of rope to like just make, like, what decision is he going to make?
Right.
Is he going to make the right decision or the wrong decision?
There was really no wrong. I was just fishing.
I know. Well, you were fishing with some friends, and you guys always got in trouble because you're fishing in lakes that you weren't supposed to.
Oh, yeah. Because we could have been doing drugs or robbing houses, but we decided to fish on a private lake, and that meant Karen had to call the police.
Oh my gosh, stop.
I mean, there was one time that
Obviously,
we were on a
nothing
boat
from that.
we were on a private lake, and they followed us around with a drone, and it called the police, took pictures of the license plate, like cops are coming, made us drag the boat out of the water all the way. And the other two kids I was with and this actually goes great with what we're talking about. The other two kids were just like, like, screw her, like, we're not gonna, like, whatever. And I'm like, no, we're gonna be respectful. And I was like, we're so sorry. it was an empty lot. We were just trying to fish. We weren't trying to do anything wrong. And the lady was so ugly, but she's like, but she ended up just letting us go. Like she was gonna make us sit there and wait for the police. And we're like, oh, we're just really sorry. Like we didn't know. She's like, I'm the one that owns this. She was not the one that owned that. I checked on an app later. But it's still like just you always taught us to be respectful. So even like we knew we were in the wrong. We knew we had broken the rules. And so in that moment, it was we were respecting her authority, even if she didn't have any. And it ended up getting us in less trouble than otherwise. And so there's other times we were fishing and a guy would come out and he would be like, hey, I don't mind if you fish here, just put the fish back in. And we're like, gosh, it gets so annoying because we would go down a steep bank. And I'm like, guys, it's the least we can do to respect those people. And all that boils down to you setting those expectations and being, hey, we are going to respect those people, we're going to do those things. So even when we were running around from lake to lake as sheriff were called on us. I remember at that gala we talked about the Pasco County Sheriff came up to me. He's like, yeah, I heard, you've been called on, the cops have been calling you a couple times for fishing. And I was like, yeah, that was me. I don't know how you figured that one out. He's like, it's okay. My son was right there with you. And so, but yeah, it was always like, we were just having fun and fishing, but, it was always respecting those people and never being dishonorable, or ugly. But yeah, if you guys see people fishing in your backyard, don't be mean to them because they really, like, they could be doing so many worse things. Just let them fish.
Okay. But yes, back to the funnel. We, like, it was different for each one of us. So I think, and it wasn't just because Thomas was the firstborn, but we're all different. So I was really different than Thomas and Megan's different than me. So as Mom grew and learned in her parenting skills, she realized that she could, like, close the funnel sooner or later for one of us, because not just because of Thomas being the firstborn, but because we were just different.
Right. And that was we talked a little bit about this before the podcast, and so much of like, okay, we don't have Mary Grace's perspective on it, but how Mary Grace's perspective was, her struggling with us being able to do things like going to a theme park together by ourselves or something like that, and she couldn't do that because she was younger, and you had to keep that funnel a little bit more open than you had with us. But it was also, we were talking about it, but it's also the other side of it, of watching maybe you tighten that funnel a little bit quicker for Carmen or for Mary Grace than you did for me. And part of that was you were learning, but also it was just our personalities were so different. And like I had to come back to you after and kind of get an explanation on, hey, why was she able to do this before I was allowed to do this? And part of it was she's a lot more responsible than I am. So I get it.
Different personalities.
But in different personalities. But for you to just be honest and open, explain that to me, I think that saved me from resenting that or being angry of like, why were you so hard on me for certain things and not as hard on her or Mary Grace for those things. And a lot of it was explaining, well, I was just trying to figure it out and I probably shouldn't have done that, and apologizing. Or it was like, you guys' personalities are different, and these were places that I tightened the funnel more for her, and these are places that I tighten the funnel more for you than I have for her. So explaining that we were different. And so again, just having that open conversation and being honest about that, kind of again understanding the why, helped me understand so much better of when I was allowed to have more freedom and when they were allowed to have more freedom.
It was funny because Mary Grace's personalities are different. Like she's a D, she's an E. They're a little bit more like, they're higher at like taking risks, like that. Those are just some of the characteristics of her personality and communication style. Like you were different, right? Carmen wasn't a risk taker. Like she followed the rules. She also like knew when too much was too much. Like that was something that like watching you grow up, Carmen, like Carmen can govern herself very well. Like I'm not like, she could see when like social media is becoming a problem, I'm turning it off. Or when, I remember when everyone in school had Snapchat, you didn't have it. Like, and it wasn't even that I was like, no, you're not allowed to have it. Like, I don't want it. Like, I don't see the point of that. I feel like there's something unhealthy, so like this funnel was wide for Carmen. It like shrunk quickly because Carmen just had this rhythm of governing herself and her, and like what was good and what was bad, earlier than you.
Right. I'm just now figuring out how terrible Instagram is. And we talked about Snapchat in our first episode. I mean, this is 2 apps that should always be had is you should always have your kids' location, because at the end of the day, it does not matter. It's a safety thing. It's knowing where that, especially girls. But Snapchat is a terrible app, and mom should have never let me get it. And no child should ever have it. The only reason I still have it is because Isabel keeps it because she likes to see my face. But she's also the one that tells me to delete Instagram all the time. So she's got a much better head on her shoulders, just like Carmen does, than I do. So
Like Carmen, again, like with this funnel, it teaches your kids how to kind of govern things, like make their own decisions. Like if I'm giving you these boundaries or like structure, hey, let's only spend 5 minutes watching TV, or, like, thank goodness you guys did not grow up with iPads or anything like that. But, hey, let's only do this for a certain amount of minutes, or hey, let's go do this. Like you learned earlier than Thomas, I don't know if it's boy or whatever, and definitely earlier than Mary Grace because of just her communication. But like, so when you were at an age where you wanted Snapchat, I let you have Snapchat, because I knew, like, again, I knew your heart, I knew and I wanted to see you try, like, again,
But
like,
you kind of had to close the funnel a little bit faster for me because you had to make me kind of choose and make my own decisions because it was like kind of, I think sometimes out of fear, but I just wanted to do the right thing all the time.
Yeah.
And I was scared, and I was like, wait, what's the right or wrong thing to do? And you kind of pushed me to make my decisions and give me freedom so that I can do that. I wasn't reliant on you to see what you thought, but like make decisions for myself.
Yeah.
But that's very different than Mary Grace or
Right.
Thomas.
So like Mary Grace didn't get Snapchat till almost her senior year.
Yeah.
Like that was like, I'm not, and I remember her asking, like, all my friends have it. They all have like groups or whatever, like chat groups. I don't know what it's called. But like, and I was, and this is how I explained to Mary Grace, which again, like never push back. Like once I explained it to her, I'm like, honey, your brain, like, well, Carmen got it at this age. And I was like, your brain is different than Carmen's brain. Carmen's brain, if I give you Snapchat right now and you start taking pictures of yourself over and over again, good. I'm not saying you're going to be bad.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're going to do bad things with it.
No.
I'm just saying if you start doing this at the age that you are, your brain is going to develop differently. And I don't want it to develop that way. I don't want you to be so self-centered, right? That you're always looking at yourself. You're always taking a picture of yourself. You're always sending a picture of yourself. Like your brain is going to develop in a way that I don't want it to develop. And I'm sorry, but your brain is different than Carmen's brain. Like she was different. Carmen, you just were able to govern you would do it and you're like, you never did Snapchat anyway.
But I literally had it probably for like 2 months and then deleted it. And then I felt like everyone, I think I needed it for a group project, like Thomas said, but and I got it back for a little bit and deleted it again. Like I got it back my senior year and deleted it again because
she would use it and like watch my stories to see if I was doing anything wrong.
Oh my gosh!
Like one time I used
all in your head.
one time I used a bad word on my private story. Again, this is why you should never let your kids have Snapchat.
Things done in
And
secret.
she was like,
Yep.
"I've got it," and she's like, I took a picture. I'm telling Mom, and then I caught her slip up one time. Carmen said a bad word, and we were even. And she still says she's never said it. I've been so waiting to share that story. But yeah.
You guys said a bad word.
But again, I think you're
I
so
can't
right.
even imagine with your little pure heart saying a bad word.
I couldn't either. I was so shocked. I was like, got her. Got her.
But
Never again. Just
it's
kidding.
understanding and knowing your kids. I do believe, like, if it was my kids were at young and middle school now, there was no way.
Oh, like even phones and stuff.
Zero.
I think I was the
Like, I
last
would
kid to get a
Yes,
phone.
you were the last kid to
I
get
had
a phone.
a flip phone.
You had a flip phone because I did get you a flip phone because you were going to your dad's and I wanted you have an ability to communicate. But you had a flip phone
And always
forever.
being late. That was the other thing. Y'all talked about this.
Yes, we did talk about that. So you had a little flip phone. That was important. But like if I had kids right now, middle school, like coming up in middle school or high school, there's no way they would get a phone. There's no way they'd be on social media. There's no way any of that stuff. I think you guys were still in the earlier parts of all of that. But again, understanding your kids, and I understood that Carmen, like, she just had this ability to, like, you governed yourself so well. Like, I remember even like Snap scores or something, or where everybody was, like, people would get to places and then you would see where they were on Snapchat.
Yeah, there's Snap Maps.
Oh, your Snap Maps. And I remember like someone doing that and you're like, that's just crazy. Like, I don't like that. Like, I just remember you like sharing those things with me. Like, people would literally get somewhere like, oh, is there anyone near me? And you would,
Oh yeah.
remember?
It was like everywhere they went, they would
Like,
check
you
to
guys
see
went
if
to
anyone
at the
on Snapchat.
beach.
And I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
have that many people on Snapchat. How do you have that many people? You don't even know these people.
I
I'm
did
like-
that, guys. I did
And
that.
like, yeah, you'd go to the beach.
I'd be like,
and like,
oh, is any of my friends here? And like, they're not even like friends. So it's like people I just added one
Yes.
day, and it's like I would have never actually talked to this
like,
person.
I don't know what these
There
people
it
have my
is.
location.
But it's like, why am I even worried about this?
That's the thing with social media. It's like you're not even real friends with these people. Like it was like you're real friends with people that you look in the eye and you talk to, you know, and that you have conversations with.
Yeah.
And then you call people friends that if you saw them, I mean, remember, like you saw someone and I'm like at the mall or something, and I was like, oh, that's so and so. Oh, I'm not gonna go talk to her. I'm like, but you're friends with her on social media. Yeah, I know, but I'm not. I don't know.
That's not real.
And so it's like all of those things. Gosh, we can go on a tangent, an episode on social media, which we're not, but it's just the funnel. And then I love, Thomas, what you said. You know, Carmen's funnel was different. Mary Grace's funnel was different. And you came to me like, even when like dating, you know, I think that was the thing. Like people ask me all the time, like at what age do you let your kids date? And I was like,
When
well,
you're mature enough.
like,
It was never a certain age.
because if I'm like, okay, at 16, you're allowed to date. Well, how about if you're not as mature? Like everybody matures different.
Right.
Everybody has, all three of you guys are so different, right? And so I'm not going to say 16 because how about if Carmen's super mature at 16, but you weren't mature at 16 or
Mhm.
Mary Grace wasn't mature at 16. So I just said, when you're mature enough, I could trust you.
Yeah.
Like I could trust that you're going to follow the rules of dating and the boundaries of dating. And also talk so much about, you know, this is another episode too, but like what the purpose of dating is, you know,
Right.
like we're not going to date to date. We're not going to have a boyfriend to have a boyfriend because everybody else has a boyfriend, right? So but that was also the funnel where I was very like structured and wide, still not letting you make a lot of those decisions. You were my first. I was really scared of dating. And I think honestly, I'm going to be really honest and vulnerable in this episode. I think it wasn't even that you were my firstborn. It's that you were a boy. And I just never wanted you to be disrespectful to any girl. So many times, like, you better protect her heart. You better be kind. You better leave her better. I'm not saying you can date. I'm not saying this is going to be your wife because you've got to date people and understand who you like, what you like. But you need to leave her better. If you break up, it needs to be like you need to have left her better. You guys need to have grow together, but just realize like maybe you're not God's best for each other. Or maybe like, hey, like, you know, our paths are going different places, but not just to date. And then when you get tired of her, you're just like, meh, I don't want to date you anymore and break up
Yeah.
with her. And I think that it was like also like just you being a boy. And I just never wanted you to hurt because it's so painful. Like I think that was my pain
Mhm.
that I definitely probably projected onto you.
Well, and I think and I think like even going to college, I know we gotta wrap it up because
Yeah.
we're almost done. But even
Mhm.
college, it was like so much like, you know, don't just date the first person you meet.
Yep.
Like it was so much of that, and it's almost like, okay, well, the first person I meet, I can't date. It was like, it didn't matter how much I liked them or how like well we gelled together. It was just like in my head, like, oh, the first person I meet, I'm just gonna be stuck with. I'm gonna end up like my parents.
Which
It
was
was like-
what my story that I
Right.
projected on.
Yeah, and
So
so like
therapists don't come at me.
She knows.
So
I know.
I had to figure that out, and we had to work through that together, and I was aware of that, and I knew that, and so and I didn't handle that the best way all the time either, but
Mhm.
you know, we both just kind of grew from that and figured that out. But again, it's all just learning when it's time to close those funnels.
Yeah.
But I think
To be
it's
honest.
cool what you said of like I didn't do it great either. I think that like is really good going into our verse because Proverbs 22 verse
6.
6 says, "Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it." So it's like even when you messed up or we messed up, I messed up, Megers messed up, like we still come back to how we were trained up as a child. And
Right.
truly that was to love each other, love the Lord, love the church, and all we did, we were going to honor the Lord and glorify his name and further his kingdom.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that was like who we were. We left people better than we found them, and that's like biblical, but like that was our saying, and like that's how we were raised, and that's where we've always come back to.
Yeah.
Even in our mess ups, it literally says whenever he is old, he will not depart from it. Like, we even when Thomas, like, as you showed in the other, like, episode, when you weren't plugged into a church right away, like, you came back to it, and like that's how we were raised. And so just like
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was, like I said, there's always that conviction. It wasn't just compliance, it was conviction.
right.
Yeah.
And so, like, we knew better.
Right.
And we knew what it was like when we were plugged in, or where we were involved, or when we were doing the right thing. So when we weren't doing the right thing, there was always that conviction. Sometimes, it took us longer than some to figure it out and get back on track, but we always knew where to turn back to. And that was what was.
And I think, like, so going back and then wrapping it up, like, great stuff. Like, so you understand that funnel big, as it gets smaller, right? You're giving them more authority. You have that structure as parents. You're the one that has that strict structure. And then it gets smaller and smaller, where they're governing themselves. They're making their own decisions. Because ultimately, as parents, like, I don't want them to make these decisions because I said so, because I'm scared that I'm going to disappoint mom. I'm scared that mom's going to be mad at me. That is not ever what I wanted. What I wanted to teach them was eventually, right? Like, these are the things we're learning. And as they grew in their relationship with Christ, that they would then learn how to be under the authority of God and not my authority.
Right.
Like, because they were going to leave the home. And the minute they leave the home, and I wasn't there watching what they were doing, and I wasn't there with that structure, even in high school, the funnel was still pretty wide at the end, but it was, as they go off, I wanted them to have that conviction, like you just talked about, to have that Holy Spirit kind of whisper in their ear, like, hey, maybe don't go there. Like, hey, maybe this isn't the right place you should be, or the right friends you should have, or hey, let's find your church and your community, right? That Holy Spirit. And so, like, oh, mom's going to be mad. Mom's going to be disappointed in me. Like, I never wanted them to feel that. I wanted them to learn how to be under my authority, because eventually I wanted them to learn how to be under God's authority, and having that characteristics and those moral compass of, like, yeah, this is what God calls me to do. This is the life he calls me, because he wants me to live a life of abundance.
Right.
And overflow, not perfect, not like, with no pain, because, and suffering is good. Sometimes it brings us closer to God, but have this overflow and abundance, So anyway, great episode. We're going to do one more, and then that's your last one, Thomas. Then we're wrapping up the
I'll be
Thomas
back.
era.
I was so much fun. I know everyone's going to be in the comments like, when is Thomas coming back?
My gosh.
And it's going to be soon, I promise.
We're going to do one more. But for right now, I hope you love this episode. I hope it was practical. I hope something you can take away and go and leave people better than you found them.
And like and subscribe.
Yes.
We're going to get you saying that.
I
Like
know.
and subscribe.
I need to
Helps us out.
Yes,
So,
it does help us out.
awesome.
So
Thank y'all so much.
Awesome. Thanks. All right. Bye.